that's there, Microsoft announces is 102. All will get expired within few months. I think it's already expired. So this is a 20 hours course training of you will actually get an experience of 4 to 5 years of experience. Okay, I'll prepare you guys with the real time scenarios so that you will actually understand and actually prove in an interview for about 4 to 5 years of experience of Intune experience. Okay, and people who already have Intune experience, okay, so it will be like a refresher. And as and when you actually discuss the questions in our or you bring the real-time scenarios in your work environment, we can actually discuss and get into more details. Okay, and when we talk about Intune, the fundamentals is very important. That's what I see lacking with most of the people who are already working with Intune. Okay, so we have to get the fundamentals very strong when it comes to Azure AD, the user's identity, the licensing part. Okay, so the traditional and versus the modern management. Okay, so most of the companies are still using the traditional processes, but moving into modern tools. Yeah, so that'll really not work out that way. So what needs to be changed? We'll discuss what are the challenges in all the companies that we have right now. So going on after what I was saying is basically we'll do a lab setup. So it's very easy. I'll show you all how to set up a lab. All you need is a simple Windows machine, either a virtual machine or a physical machine. That is sufficient. Okay. And if we go into mobile devices, I would also suggest you to even use personal devices or any other spare devices that you have. You can have either iOS or Android. It's not mandatory, but Windows I would suggest to have mandatory. And any one of the mobile device is also good. Okay. So because once you actually visualize the experience, you'll feel more confident. And labs are very important. Okay. So when I say lab is no matter how many trainings you attend, how much you read, how much you actually uh, go to multiple trainings, watch YouTube videos, watch training, enroll to training. Okay. Until you do the lab at least once, you will not feel confident. You won't speak confidently in your interviews or even with your peers, even with your, it's not at all get the subject on hold. Okay, so you'll feel like imagination. You'll have that only imagination, but not the real time experience. The reason why I want to emphasize more on the labs is I would give you a classic example of the driving, right? So if you want to learn driving the car, okay, so if you watch videos, you won't understand. If you just sit beside the trainer, you won't understand, right? So you will not be able to drive unless you sit in the driver's seat and you start driving and experience it. So this is how it works for all the technologies, all the tools. Okay. So you should at least do 40 to 50% of the labs so that it's much easier. No matter once you do the lab, once you have the lab, it's very easy to understand any topic, any subject. You can just Google it and start learning anywhere. Okay? So that is what is important in our first few days. Okay? So once we go on, we'll just get into more details about what is Windows Autopilot, what is co-management, what is iOS. Okay, so we'll talk about Apple Business Manager and VPP. And once we get into the enrollments of all these, the next comes the management and the compliance part. So what else we can do apart from once we bring the devices under the management, what else we can actually do? We can configure, manage, and then push some policies, define some compliance policies, do some reporting, and how do we handle non-compliant devices? Okay, so we can actually push some applications, we can push some drivers, updates. Okay, so we can monitor them. Okay, we can do some basic reporting, advanced reporting, and all. So again, when it comes to the management, so this is a very common thing. Almost 95% of the companies use Intune MAM today. Whoever is using Intune, they will use Intune. Even if you are using third party, they will still use Intune MAM policies for mobile devices. So we'll just get into these details shortly. So security. So when we say Intune, it's two aspects. One is purely the traditional way of managing like patches, policies, and applications. And it's more of security nowadays. So Intune, according to Microsoft, is considered as a security tool. Okay, so it comes under the modern work M365 sales pitch for them. Yeah. So this comes under the M365 product and security product. Intune, if you actually go and start purchasing the license, you have to either go for EMS, which is Enterprise Mobility or Security, or M365 Enterprise or Business Premium. So we'll talk about the licensing, okay, in our first class. So after all this, so there's no point because you you will actually get all of this information somewhere else, if not from me. Okay, so but what according to me is we'll do it real time, and we'll talk about a good couple one couple detailed classes on about how you guys have to prepare for interviews, how you can actually what are the interview questions that you can expect. So how can you prove that you have real-time experience? So what should be there in your resumes and what kind of jobs you can actually apply? And thereafter, okay, so if you want to go beyond Intune, and if you have you need to have a proper career structured, like, for the next 20 years, okay, so that your jobs are safe. So it is very good to get these technologies also behind your added to your resume, which is purely M365 technology security space. That is Defender for Endpoint, Defender for Cloud Apps, and this is Microsoft Defender for Office, Defender for Identity, and the Purview part, the DLP related settings. So once you're expert, if you start Intune as a basic thing, and within once you have 4 or 5 months of experience, you can slowly pick up within an year. So you'll actually have some L1, L2, L3 level of experience within a year. This usually, once you get into this job, you'll get a chance to work on all this. Okay? Even if you don't get a chance, you'll have an opportunity to learn whenever during your free time. So thereby you can actually move on, step up your career from a simple Intune admin, consultant, architect to more of a complete Microsoft architect level, the admin and the M365 security level. Okay, so that is it. So today we'll just go into fun basics. Okay, since we just have another another 40 minutes. So why do we have to learn Intune? Okay, so why is it relevant? Do we have to invest time? So this is a Gartner report of last year. It's June 22. Even this year, I think I'm not sure if they have announced. Even if they have announced, more or less this looks the same. Okay, so this is how most of the enterprise companies, CIOs and CISOs actually look at before buying a product, before adopting to a product, right? So as you look at it, when it comes to the unified endpoint management tool, so there are only 3 companies which is in the leaders space. One is Microsoft, VMware, and Ivanti. So Microsoft is Intune there, and VMware, people who are aware, it's Workspace ONE, or earlier it was called AirWatch. So Ivanti is again a combination of multiple products that they have acquired. They have acquired LANdesk, they have acquired Mobile Iron for mobile devices, and they had their own Ivanti device management suite and service management suite and all. So even that is the leader right now. Okay, so all of the managed engine, IBM and all, they are finding it very tough to cope up with these 2 or 3 products. Okay, so eventually, Microsoft, they have that money power, they have that marketing thing, and then licensing made easy for them. So eventually, they'll beat almost most of the competition, and then they'll be the leaders within few years. So it'll be a monopoly, unfortunately, yes, but it's very right time to study or learn or get into the Intune space. So why, if you okay, so for people who are really don't know anything, I mean, not completely new to Intune, so Intune is just a device management tool, guys. Okay, so say for example, in an enterprise, you have around you'll have 5,000 devices, 10,000 or 1 lakh or 2 lakh devices. You need to manage centrally, right? If you need to push some policies like security policies, non-security policies like a screensaver, locks, device lock settings. Okay, earlier and even applications. Earlier, for last 20 years, when it was XP, Windows 7 or earlier, they were using all these traditional tools. So these traditional tools, you join the device to Azure AD, sorry, Active Directory, which is domain join. And once you domain join, you actually create some group policies, and then System Center, which is SCCM, will actually start managing the device. Okay, so this is all. The biggest problem with this is, though the job does amazing, okay, so it is very good. It's a very strong product of 20 years. But the only problem is now, okay, so most of the companies are getting rid of their on-premise dependencies. They don't want to have many servers. Okay, it's not just these servers. Okay, they have the overall strategy of moving all the servers to cloud, all the applications to cloud. Okay, for example, Exchange on-premise, they want to move to Exchange Online, so that they don't want to maintain Exchange servers. Similarly, they don't want to have Active Directory as a dependency as a directory service. They can use it for other. Even if they still need Active Directory, they will move this Active Directory physical server from their data center to the cloud. Okay, so which is all they can use Active Directory domain services there in the cloud. And that is the main reason. Okay, not that they don't want to use only these 4 or 5 servers. The overall strategy is they will have 1,000 different servers, like Linux servers, application print servers. All the servers they wanted to move. That is their goal. So that's the reason why the push is to move to the cloud services as much as possible. So that is one of the reason. So when you actually look at these technologies, more of it will start moving to the cloud, and they want dependency. The bigger dependency is network. All of these are residing within their on-premise data center, right? So if you are at home, it's very difficult to connect, or you cannot connect. So you may have to have a VPN. Okay? So imagine in the coronavirus time, almost 1,000 to, 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 of your employees are at home, and you don't have connection of your laptop to these services. Okay, so that was really a hard time. People who have been working with SCCM and who don't have public internet facing cloud management gateway or any other server that is facing internet, you might have seen the challenges. People don't connect to VPN. Even if they connect, they fail to connect because of the choking of many VPN connections at the same time, right? Everyone log into office at 9, 10 o'clock, all of the 9, 10 o'clock timing, everyone connects to the VPN. So everything chokes, everything breaks. Okay, so they want to get rid of network dependency, on-premise dependency. They want to get rid of all this heavyweight servers, patching these servers, managing these servers. Okay, all this mess. It's huge administrative effort and also IT budget. Moreover, so managing is very difficult. So to avoid all that, we would actually, if anyone was in IT, they would give all of this work to someone else, right? So that's why all the cloud services have come into picture. So when you actually look at this, so we have traditional on one side and the cloud on the other side. So all of the right hand things that you see here are the cloud equivalents. But please remember, Active Directory and Azure Active Directory is not the same. Okay, so this is proper Active Directory services, but this is just the identity and access management solution. Okay, so this is domain join here, but you will actually join the device to Azure AD join here. So this is group policies, and here it's MDM policies. MDM is nothing but Intune, which is mobile device management. So we used to manage the device with system, SCCM, and now this is more of Intune. So this is what Microsoft is saying, every company to have only these. They want to get rid of these, including SCCM. Huge, though there are so many enterprises that are heavily reliant on group policy and SCCM. Okay, so eventually the investment, the number of people working for development of these features in Microsoft are reducing. All of the money, people, budget are all increasing here. Okay, so though they'll say, I'll support, we are here to do all this, don't worry, don't remove, but there is nothing magical happening here, only little bit of bug fixing and less new features are added. Almost all the features will be here. You might have already seen people who are already working. Okay, so that is the overall traditional to IT. Okay, so and when you actually look at the client operating system, the Windows 10 and Windows 11 is purely designed for modern IT. Okay, what it means is it has an inbuilt MDM capable agent. You don't have to install any agents to manage from Intune. Okay, everything is inbuilt. And there's so many security features also within the Windows 10 and Windows 11 devices. So there are some modern deployment options. So when I say modern deployment options, within the modern deployment options, we have even IT can create some, and also user can create some. So just a background, okay? So if you actually join a company, you actually go to, traditionally, okay? Not for last 2 years, I know IT has changed a lot. But if you're actually still working in a traditional way of IT environment or any company, when you join a company, you actually go to the IT and then get the laptop, right? So almost all the laptop is ready. You just need to log in. So basically, they're managing, they're imaging your laptop. They're creating all of the drivers, domain join, policies, apps, security settings. Everything is ready, and you actually they give it to you. Okay, and for you, it's easy to just take it and come. But the backend amount of work that it has gone from the IT administrator is huge. Okay, so because a lot of OSD deployments are resource intensive, testing intensive, a lot of efforts are going in. Okay. So a lot of updating of packages, updating of drivers, updating of the device models, the number of gold images that they have for each different models, and then departments, policies, everything is complex. Okay. So, but here, when we say user driven from the cloud, right? So the magic of Intune and for the last 3-4 years with Windows Autopilot, you can actually, your IT company can procure some devices, brand new devices, and directly ship it to your home address. Okay. So you can just, those are actually corporate devices. You can just power on the machines, log in with your Office 365 account, I mean the Azure AD account, your corporate ID account, and start working on it. Okay. So that is how it is. That's how it is. You have two methods again, which is already pre-provisioned by your IT, or if it's a brand new device, which I just said, it will be user provision. So you log in, and within 15-20 minutes, your device is ready to start working. Okay, you don't have to go to office. Brand new devices unboxed directly from Dell, directly from Lenovo or any one reseller. It is directly shipped to the device. No one opened the seal, and no one really opened it, anything. Okay, nothing is configured. So everything is configured. Your devices serial numbers that you procured from the IT is actually registered in the backend to your company. When you power it on, okay, so this is it's hard coded to check to the autopilot services, and then everything happens. Okay, so all of the apps come down from the remotely, and the device is ready to use. Okay, so we'll just this is just basics, not even basics. It's at a very high level. What is Intune expected to do? And before we go on, what is important is to understand the three main terminologies that's confusing to most of the beginners. Okay, one is hybrid AD join, one is Azure AD join, and one is Azure AD registered. Okay, so traditionally you have a laptop. Okay, so this is joined to the domain here. This is sitting in your on-premise Active Directory. So you join this laptop to the Active Directory. So what it means is when you join, you can log in with your Active Directory account. For example, you join xyz.com, your domain, / your name. So that is how you log into your Active Directory domain. Yeah. So if it is joined to Azure AD, okay, if it is registered to Azure AD and joined to Active Directory, okay, you can log in by both. Okay. But the meaning here is the identity is this particular laptop device identity is also present in Azure AD. And this laptop device ID is also present in Active Directory. Okay. And before that, let me just give you more details, I mean, a more fundamental explanation. Active Directory, as you know, is a very traditional on-premise server where it is used for usernames. If you join an organization, you create a username. If you join an organization, I mean, if you take a laptop, your laptop is here. If you add a printer, printer is here. Every resource of your organization is in Active Directory. If there are 1,000 people, all those 1,000 people will be email addresses, date, time, bond, everything, all details will be here. So these user details and device details, we can actually sync it to something called as Azure Active Directory, which is in the cloud. Okay, there is a tool called Azure AD Connect. We can actually sync it here. So the usernames, devices, everything we can actually sync it. Okay. So when we actually sync this device is joined here, and the device is actually synced back here. Okay, and this is now called as a hybrid AD join. So where do we use it? Typically in our corporate owned devices, we'll use it. This is joined to both on-premise AD and Azure AD. So it is applicable to Windows current client down level client servers. Okay. So you can either automatically join the device to Azure AD by a group policy or manually. Okay. So, and once the device is joined to these two things, what can you do? If it is joined to AD, traditionally you can actually push group policies to this device. Okay. If it is joined to Azure Active Directory, what does it do? It does nothing. Okay. There's no policies from Azure Active Directory. Okay. It is just joined for one major purpose is to have some cloud identity, which then used for single sign-on to your cloud applications. So that is the reason why we joined to Azure Active Directory. The
Listen,
hello, yeah,
I have a doubt. Actually, for this hybrid Azure AD joint machines, if I'm applying a GPO for example, the wallpaper settings in GPO from the on-prem AD and the same settings configured as in Intune configuration profile, which will be taking precedence and which will get applied to the hybrid Azure AD joint machines?
okay. So, okay, the question here is, you have a laptop, you have some group policies pushed to this laptop, and you have an Azure Active Directory. This won't push any policies, but this is joined to Intune. This is enrolled to Intune, what he's saying. So Intune also has some policies that can push to the device. So what takes the precedence? For example, wallpaper and wallpaper, right? So by default, group policy takes the precedence. Okay. And in Intune, there is a policy called as MDM wins over GP. Okay. So you can actually configure that policy stating that MDM takes precedence over the GP. In that case, all of your Intune policies will take precedence over all of your GPO policies. When I say all, there is something called CSP. Okay. So all of the Intune CSP policies will take precedence over your Active Directory domain group policies.
You're meaning to say that if we configure the MDM wins GPO, and if we are pushing any policies from the Intune, it will roll back or make any changes which already GPO done in that machine, right?
Yes. If a GPO is already did something on this, and if you push an MDM policy here on this device, that will take precedence.
Clear, thanks.
Okay.
Rajesh, can we allow some people are waiting?
Oh, is it? Okay. Okay, so that I hope that's clear, right?
Yeah, it's clear. Thank you.
Okay. So you can just search Go MDM wins over GP. If I have time, I'll just show that. So it's a simple policy in Intune where you can use either 1 or 0. If it is 1, it takes precedence. If it's 0, you are just indirectly leaving it as not configured, which takes AD as preferred. All that we'll actually look into it one by one in our upcoming classes. So here Azure AD join. Yeah. So this Azure AD join, as you can see, this laptop has no connection to your on-premise Active Directory. Okay. So this has only connection to your Azure AD. So by this, what it does is you can actually log in with your email kind of thing. Okay. It's an UPN. So Azure AD, like, my name, okay, raj@abc.com, and then password. You can log in with your email addresses to this laptop. That's one of the layman way of telling what is the meaning of Azure AD join. This is join to Azure AD, which has an identity in it. And so because it has an identity, you can log in and you can use it for single sign-on to most of the cloud resources. And because there is something called Azure AD Kerberos authentication with that as well, though you don't have this Azure AD joined to, if the device not joined to Active Directory, you can actually still join the device here, but still access the on-premise file shares or any other printer services like that. Okay, but only thing is you need to have that network connection here. Is this clear, Azure AD? It's a simple join. I'll just show you on how we can actually do it in the next classes. Okay, and here,
On this also, I have one doubt. Shall I ask?
yes, please. Yeah, go ahead.
Actually, for Azure AD joint devices, so if I'm having a print server in the on-prem network, so is it I can able to add the printer using my domain credentials, because we will be giving permissions to the domain credentials, right, to connect with the printer. So even with the VPN connection, or if I'm connecting directly the Azure AD joint devices in on-prem network, will
Yes,
I able to connect the on-prem print server?
you can actually. The only thing is the user identity should be hybrid. Okay, so you can do it. The way it actually works is your printer services, right? It depends on what authentication it's configured. If it's a we're adding a printer, okay. So, but this laptop should be in the corporate network. Okay, when you add that in the corporate network, okay. So when you add that printer, okay, so if that printer requires a user-based authentication, or if it requires a certificate-based authentication, you can deploy certificates. If it's just asking the username credentials, okay, it will actually work.
But if we have the identity only in Azure Active Directory, will it take that authentication success?
Yes. So that is why recently they have announced something called as Azure AD Azure Active Directory Kerberos authentication. Even if the device is just Azure AD join, it can
Mhm.
access all of your on-premise resources. What actually happens is, traditionally how actually AD works, you actually authenticate, okay? There is a TGT and then there's a ticket granting token, and that is actually receives here. Okay, so that is where with that TGT you start accessing, which is that Kerberos ticket granting token, you start accessing all of your on-premise resources. With this new Azure AD Kerberos authentication, what happens is, okay, so even before Azure AD TGT, when you log this device to Azure AD, earlier we just had this PRT, the primary refresh token, where we can actually log into Azure Cloud Services. But here in this Azure AD Kerberos authentication, you along with PRT, which is primary refresh token, you also get back partial TGT. Okay, so the partial TGT will actually get the partial TGT, and with that partial TGT, when you're in an on-premise network and has a direct line of sight to your Active Directory, even if you're not connected, it will issue the Active Directory full TGT. Okay, I'm admitting some more.
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay, so I think I have no time, so I'll just move on. So Azure AD registered here. So okay, so this is like I think I admitted all. Like okay. So this is for mobile devices. So as you know, mobile devices cannot be joined to Azure AD. They can only be registered to Azure AD even if they are completely managed. So most of the personal laptops, they are logged in with their personal account and later registered to Azure AD so that they can use the single sign-on capabilities. Here's one difference. I mean, is again, this is at a glance. Okay. Device login and device management authorities, device login. So if it's a domain join, okay, so it's a purely on-premise AD join. You require the line of sight for the first time when your device login. After that, policies group apply. So you can traditionally manage with GPO and then see a config manager. If it's an Azure AD, you can use GPO plus config manager and then Intune. And if it's purely Azure AD join, you can use Intune or co-management. Okay. Remember, for SCCM management, it's not mandatory for the device to be joined to AD. Okay. All it needs is an SCCM agent. Okay. So this is invisible work on when we're actually going. It's already, yeah. So management choices. Yeah, traditional management and the modern management, right? So yeah, earlier the management used to work with the infrastructure, work with the group policies. We actually used to query the WMIs and then get the inventory and this reporting and all. Okay, so for modern management, we use advanced MDM support. Okay, so either one. Okay, so this is the available choices we have. This is a decision making slide mostly. Okay, if it's an identity, you have to either decide Active Directory or Azure Active Directory or an hybrid identity. Okay. And how do you manage it? Okay. So either group policy or SCCM or a third party infrastructure management. There are so many other tools, right? So, or Microsoft Intune or any other third party MDM. Updates and upgrades. Okay. So earlier we had this WSUS, the Windows Server Update Services. Okay. And we had SCCM also. SCCM had a component called as a software update point, SUP, and then where this actually connects to WSS and downloads the patches, and from there you distribute the patches to the client machines. So the Intune is another one way, but Intune doesn't really does the patch management. Very important to understand this. It just does the patch policies, the Windows Update for Business policies. It's up to the Windows 10 machine to actually pull the patches. That's traditional Windows Update for Business. Understanding the challenges, understanding how much pushback we actually received from the most of the corporate companies, most of the enterprise companies. Microsoft has introduced something called as Windows Update for Business Deployment Services. Okay, WDSDS, Windows Update, WFBDS. Okay, so that is again more like your WSS update services where you can actually select. Okay, you can select what patch, last 3-month patches you can actually select and deploy it to the Windows machines. Same thing goes to the major releases, either 21H2 or 22H2. So when you're talking about updating the patches to those machines, you can actually update the patches. Yeah, the same thing in more graphical representation way. So what can Intune do at a high level? So these are all the things it can do, very basic level. So one is configuration policies. So if you have a Windows 10, Windows 11, or any other machine, or any other mobile devices or anything, what we can actually do is push some configuration policies, right? There's so many other configuration policies. It'll be an encryption policies, device restrictions, device configuration, your Wi-Fi, VPN, all kinds of policies. We can actually use it. Okay, so configuration policies and resource access policies are more or less the same. When it comes to resource access policies, it's more of any policies that requires to access some of the resources, like you need a email profile or a Wi-Fi, VPN, or all of the certificates that needed. Okay. Device compliance policies is just evaluating the configurations, what we have done in the configuration policies. If you have pushed an encryption policy, the device compliance policy is just to evaluate to check whether the encryption is successful or successfully encrypted on that device, so that we can use that value state to define whether the device is compliant or not. Okay, so device compliance is reading the actual configuration, but the configuration policy is actually changing the system configuration. So conditional access policy, okay, so this is really not an Intune feature technically, because conditional access policy is the intra AD, the Azure AD feature. This actually sits in Azure AD, but you can still see this in Intune node as well, in the Intune console. This is based on the compliance status of Intune. Okay, Intune compliance status of that device, we can actually either allow or block the access to some of the cloud resources. cloud applications, okay, like Office 365, Teams, OneDrive, okay, all or any other registered Azure AD applications, you can actually block the policies. So corporate device enrollment profiles, yeah. So these are nothing but corp IDs, which we'll talk about that in the next later. Okay, so very standard fundamental question is what is the Intune device management when it comes to mobile devices mainly. Okay, so when we talk about mobile device management, okay, so it is managing the complete devices. So most of the organization also have some corporate mobile devices deployed, okay, as their workforce devices. Like most of the flight attendants have, most of the medical hospitals, most of the nurses have, doctors have it. Okay, so education industry has, teachers, and most of the colleges, universities in most of the countries have deployed iPads to almost every student. Okay, so because these are all corporate owned devices, we just cannot allow unmanaged. Okay, so we can do a lot of completely controlled management of all these mobile devices. Even if you go to some of the Indian banks like SCSA or Axis, most of them have salespeople have them iPads where you actually enter your details. So these are all like kind of a protected devices. Okay, these are all sensitive information. Okay, so it has so much of personal information, photos, Aadhaar card, so many identity cards, all this information they capture and they keep it, but they have to be uploaded to a certain application in the backend. So and hence they need to be protected. Okay? Most of the corporate devices needs to be protected at the device level. When I say device level, uh, yeah, you can control the hardware features of the device. Like you can block camera, you can enforce biometric, you can ask to strictly enter some 10-digit passcode, 7-digit passcode. Okay, so you can block them modifying some changes within your hardware. I mean, on the mobile device. If it's a jailbroken device or a rooted device, it won't really work. Okay, so we can actually unmanage the device right away. So these are all about managing the device. So, but if it's a personal device, okay. So do you think personal device people would be agreeing to enroll the device? No, right? So they really don't want them to manage the device. Hence, we have something called as uh, MAM, okay? The Intune Mobile Application Management. Okay, so this is only managing the applications. Okay, so if you have a personal mobile phone, okay, so you can still log into Outlook and access your corporate account and log into Teams and join some meetings. Okay, and if someone sends some data within their Outlook or Teams attachment, confidential email or anything, okay, you cannot leak the data. So basically what I mean is if there is an attachment into your Outlook, you cannot download into your personal Google Drive or to your phone or share it in WhatsApp or anything. Okay, the data won't come out from that application. Okay, so that is protecting the application. Okay, so we are not protecting the device, we're not securing the device, we're only protecting the application because it's your personal device. All I'm concerned as a corporate IT company is I'm worried about my corporate data. Okay, so if you're in Teams, someone sends an attachment, meeting invite, meeting attachment or something, text or anything, the data just doesn't come out from the Teams. However, the Outlook attachment can be sent to Teams. Okay, all of the corporate applications can exchange data within each other, but not to your personal OneDrive or Google or iCloud account, iCloud Drive or all anything. So it's more of protecting the data lake. Okay, so this is just an example of how it does. So if you have some kind of a mobile phone, so these are managed applications, all these are business applications, all these are personal applications. Okay, so what I mean, if there is an attachment in the Outlook, okay, I can open, if there is an Excel attachment, I can open the Excel because there's an Excel application, it'll open. And I cannot copy all of their data and download this application and put it into Facebook or at Twitter or any other drive. Okay, this data doesn't come here. Okay, so this is this is what I am. This like a graphic as an attachment copy. It doesn't come to your personal application, but it can actually copy and paste into your Word. Okay, but once I open that Word, if I try to save it to your OneDrive personal storage or Box or any other cloud drives, it won't allow you to save. Okay, those buttons will be grayed out. So this is mobile application protection. This is done by Intune. This is done on a user basis to any device that the user is trying to use those Intune the Intune aware mobile applications. Not just these, there are around somewhere around 70 applications that you can use. And if you don't have that application within the Microsoft gallery, you can actually use Intune SDK and wrap those applications so that those applications can understand Intune mobile data protection policies. So people keep on asking, what's the architecture? Architecture, there's nothing like architecture when it comes to Intune. Okay, so it's like a black box for people. Whatever is Intune, for us, it's just a black box. We don't know what's happening in the background, right? It's not, if you talk about the way SSEM is architected, we can talk about multiple components. SSEM has a CAS, central administrative unit, you have primary servers, you have distribution servers, you have different kind of hierarchy servers, and then you have an SQL database that connects to for all the data. It needs a connection to Active Directory. If it's a CMG, it needs another servers. Oh, see, all that architecture, because you are managing it's an on-premise solution, you understand something. Okay, but for Intune, the way IT admins look at it is just a console. There is nothing else you can actually see in the console. Whatever the data you see in the Intune, you can only access that data. You can either access the data from the console or access it from uh, the Graph API. Okay, so that is it. So when I say the Microsoft 365, if you look at how Microsoft 365 have come up, it includes all of the Microsoft cloud services. Okay, so it includes what is basically M365. So Microsoft 365 has multiple products. Okay, starting off with Office 365, SharePoint, OneDrive, Teams, Skype for Business earlier, Azure Active Directory. Okay, and then to protect all of these resources, we need some security products, and these products are Intune. So Microsoft Intune, Defender for Identity, Defender for Cloud Apps, Defender for Office 365, Defender for Cloud Apps. And there's something called Purview, which is complete data protection and sensitive information protection. And there's Windows Store for Business, the new store for business to deploy applications from Intune managed devices. And there is Windows Update for Business Services. Okay, so which is deployed for updates to your cloud endpoints. So it's a suite plus Office 365 Pro applications. Okay, and more importantly, Windows 10 and Windows 11 subscription. Right? If a person buys M365 license, he gets all this. If a company buys M365 Enterprise E3 or E5 license, mostly he'll get E5, he gets everything. E3, he gets most of it. Okay, so it is one single license if they really have it. So that is why you see the benefit of companies moving into M365. You get everything for a single license. Okay. So that without thinking twice, most of entire IT, okay. If you actually again look at it, look at the number of third-party products we use in Windows today. People are using Qualys, right? People are using remote management tools like LogMeIn, TeamViewer, right? McAfee. All these are actually Microsoft have their own product which is coming with this license, right? So Zscaler does something called as cloud app proxy and then internet re-trafficking. That is actually done by the proxy server, like where Defender for Cloud Apps plus Defender for Identity also does the vulnerability management that Qualys does. People have installed BoomGuard, TeamViewer, LogMeIn, so many products for monitoring. Sorry, for remote for help desk. So that is it can be replaced by a simple $2 additional license, which is called remote help. Now it is more advanced now in Windows. In Intune itself, it's inbuilt. Okay. So that's the value of if you buy something called as M365 license. So people have next thing as a monitoring tool. So there's something called desktop analytics that Microsoft is coming up with the same license. You don't have to purchase additional license. So almost all of your third-party products and the amount that you spend and IT can spend can be replaced with a single M365 E3 license or E5 license. So this isn't more if you have co-management. Okay, so many people have confusion what exactly co-management. It's nothing but for the same device, you can have two management tools managing it. Okay, you can either have Intune managing some of the components and configuration manager also managing some of the components on the same device. Okay, people who still have Windows 7 and Windows 8 can manage configuration manager, and companies we have Windows servers can still manage with Windows configuration manager. Okay, and companies who have Windows 10 and Windows 11, they can still manage with configuration manager and also add Intune for some other policies that you think Intune does a better job than configuration manager. So what are the workloads that we can talk about? So when I say workloads, yeah, so these are all the things that we can actually share. Okay, whatever Intune does, configuration manager SCCM also does the same thing or better. Okay, so but at a lighter management with a continuous access for the device, which is Intune, is much better. This has dependency of corporate network. This has dependency of heavyweight agents, data movement. All that is heavy. It's an intensive tool. And this is a very lighter tool which can manage all of the policies is around 4 or 3 MB, or I mean 300 KB or 400 KB. You can push all of the config policies, did update policies, just divide compliance policies and protection policy all at once. It will be around 400 KB. Okay. So all these client applications from Intune, Office, traditionally, if you actually look at the way Office was deployed from SCCM, they actually download the 3 or 4, 5, 6 GB package and just to customize it, add it, and then deploy it through SCCM. Now it is a single click to run app, which can be deployed from Intune directly without any, within 4 seconds, you can finish the configuration. Sorry, within a minute, you can actually finish the configuration and deploy it. And it's all entire Intune configuration. If you're an expert, end to end can be configured within exactly 2 days, not more than that. The majority of the things that goes on for a long time is the decision making on what needs to be configured. What is their strategy? Okay, once you understood the real-time problems of an IT, of an endpoint management, of the end user computing challenges, the processes, the business things. Once you're ready with it, it just takes maximum 3 or 4 days, or within a week, you can actually configure the entire end-to-end setup from the brand new setup to the production rollout, and max testing can go on for another 3 or 4 weeks based on what you actually does. Okay. Same thing goes with mobile devices. It's again fairly simple compared to any other MDM agent. So I mean, sorry, MDM tool. I worked at least for 4 or 5 MDM tools, but compared to all of those MDM tools, Intune is a very, very easy tool to deploy and manage. Okay, so that's all I have. Yeah, so this is completely a overview, nothing in detail at all. So I think I just need to cover that in an hour. So I try to do as much as I can. Okay. So the plan for this session, I think is, yeah. So I think we are only planning, yeah, we are planning this mostly in the weekend for around the same time, 5 to 7 India time, because we came to know that there are a few people who are joining from Europe and 4 or 5 people, sorry, 2 or 3 people joining from early hours US time. So I'm not sure. We'll just see. Okay.
Hello,
So guys,
Raj.
yes.
Okay, Ashish here. Just to do can you show your lab, like practical, which you told in initial? call about the lab.
Okay. So you mean the Intune lab?
Yes, which you told about the lab. What exactly it is?
See, basically lab is okay. So if you actually go to any cloud management tool, right? So it's just buying licenses, okay? Buying subscription, buying trial licenses. So what I have here is 1 second. So this you can actually get something called EMS. Okay? So if you go to EMS trial, this EMS, Enterprise Mobility and Security pricing options, you can just click on the first thing. So since I've already chosen the trial, I'll not get this option, but you can actually go for try it now here. So once you get it, try it now, what you will actually get it, you'll get EMS E5. So what does this cover is, this has complete identity access management, which is complete your Azure AD Premium P2. You can see everything is covered here. You'll get endpoint management, which is Intune, application management, integrated PC management, on-premise management, just core management, and we'll get DLP also. Information protection, which is your AIP. This is not Intune, but you'll get this also. Identity-driven security, you'll get what I was just defining. Defender for identity, Defender for cloud apps, and the advanced threat analytics. So you'll get 4 products by just using this trial account, which comes you for 90. Yeah, I don't know, earlier it was 90 days. So you can extend till 90 days. And once you're expert, you can actually use something called as Developer M365 Developer Edition, so that you'll actually get it for 1 year. And this is how actually a lab looks like. So I'll have what I have, if you're talking about lab, so this is how the lab looks. And we also have this client device. I have a virtual machine, Hyper-V virtual machine as a client device, right? So this is joined. So this is my client and this is my service. So I use this mostly for testing purposes, and for all the demos, 80% of the things I'll only be showing in the labs. I don't have any presentation, though I have, there's no point of showing the presentations. So most of my most of my classes will be only in this console, everything and this client machine. Okay. So because I really don't want to get into this console thing, because I just want you all to have this console setup first. I have a Mac machine, iOS, iPad, Windows enrolled here. So you can use all this demos while working on it. So we can actually manage all these platforms so far, but in my in this training, there's no point of covering Chrome and Linux. Okay, so I can just give an overview because there is nothing, not much there. We can bring the device into management and start using configuration scripts in Linux. And for Chrome OS, we actually need to integrate your Chrome, Google Enterprise account to the Chrome OS part. So mostly it's 70% Windows and then 30% of all these 3 platforms. The timing is distribution. So any questions there?
Hi Raj, Mahesh this side.
Yes,
I
Mahesh.
have just one question. Like you mentioned about the GPO policy, we can same implement in Intune. So like like in GPO, suppose our infra has many policies. So the Windows all GPO policies are available in Intune, or for some we have to do the scripting work, or a customization of our custom policy is available. Like if our GPO policy is exit is not match or available in Intune.
Okay, so there's something called group policy analytics. You can see here. Yeah, so okay.
Group
So
policy analytics.
analytics. Okay. So what it actually does is you can bring your import of your group policy. Okay, so from any of the machine.
Okay.
And import that here. And once you import that here, within few minutes, it will actually show you this report here. Okay, so it'll show you the group policy name once you click it, your Active Directory target, whether MDM supports or not, okay, whether Intune supports that particular policy or not, and which it's targeted and when what is last imported. So this is a single line you'll get. Once you click it, it will get into detail. So what you actually have is once you import it, once you're ready to do migration, you can just click migrate here. The one that you see here, you can actually click migrate here. So this is how it actually works. So before you begin, you'll export an XML file from your GPO, import the GPO and run that analytics. Okay? So this will actually show you this presentation. Okay? Sorry, screenshots. You save the report, you import the GPOs, okay, in the Intune console. And once you actually do it, okay, so it'll show you all these options and you can later group policy analytics, come down and then migrate it. Okay, that's 3-4 steps. But the caution is that while this supports, you have to be very careful in migrating, because see, most of the organizations have group policies defined for so many years, right? So it starts from Windows XP, Windows 7, Windows 10. You just cannot change, bring all that old mess and to the new tool. Okay? There has to be some kind of rationalization, which you need to filter out, remove all of your old group policies. Okay, because half of your group policies are applicable to only Windows XP. If you are a very old enterprise organization, I'd say. Okay, so if you are starting something new, okay, you can use this group policy analytics to only analyze what is very important so that you can use it. Today, almost all banking customers are actually going to Intune, because Intune completely it has almost 80 to 90% of the support already. And in addition to that, whatever enterprises required, whatever banking organizations require, whatever financial or BSFI, all these insurances companies, all these critical companies are actually have no problem moving into Intune. Yeah, the only thing is their budget, their team, their process, their downtime. That is their drawback. Okay, so moving here is very easy. Okay, so what is more thing is there is something called import ADMX. Okay, you can import whatever ADMX files that are given either by Microsoft or a third party and start using it. Okay, so all these ADMs are managing Mozilla Firefox, managing Google Chrome. Okay, so you can actually manage multiple settings. There is, if you go to create configuration profile and Windows 10 profile type is settings catalog, right? So if you go to this settings catalog and create, if you look at it, right now there are somewhere around 8,300 settings here in this catalog. Okay. So this is the everything that you find in group policy is here. Almost what is required. Anything, whatever you want to manage. Okay, whatever you BitLocker. Okay. So you just type BitLocker, you'll get the entire administrative templates, BitLocker, drive encryption, fixed data, everything you can actually select. As soon as selected and select all the settings, okay, everything starts appears. So you can completely use the entire group policy settings right away here in the cloud. You don't really have to do all this thing. Okay, see, hundreds of settings are here right away. Whatever is there in the group policy, okay, will be here. It's simple ADMX files. So yeah, I think we have completely exceeded time. So I think we'll continue next time. Okay, so whoever is interested can join. So, and if you are, I think already 12 or 13 people confirmed, but not sure. So we have another other batch running early morning. So any questions?
Raj, one query.
Yes.
Hello?
Yeah, yeah.
Naresh this side. So what and all prerequisites is required for this thing? Like I am working as a L1 level like desktop support engineer. I know that things, everything, but I don't have hands-on experience for this SCCM, WDS, servers, like L1 level. I, for example, from AD, I even Azure AD also I'm using. I'm giving the permission to users, blocking, locking as. So what and all are prerequisites required for this Intune? It's
See,
like I.
see, whatever you're doing is more than sufficient for this. Okay, so I will be starting from very fundamentals. Okay, so fundamentals to L1 to L2, 4-5 years level of experience. Whatever topics that I showed will be handled in detail. Any questions will be taken, tested on everything. There's no hurry, there is no thing. Okay, so um, so what background information, I mean, what background you require is, there's nothing background, okay? So you're saying Azure AD. So what, or do you really understand Azure AD is the question, okay? Do you really understand the Intune is the question? Do you really understand what is device management? What is Intune or any other third-party management? What is patching? What is Windows Update Services? How does enterprises do it? What are the processes they follow? Okay, it's more of product plus what happens in the industry, the real-time industries. Okay, there is nothing like a casual talk, casual training. Okay, there's nothing strict YouTube videos kind of thing. I don't plan to cover that one.
No, like Raj, my
So the
concern is, sorry for disturbing. Like for example, definitely this course I will go through properly. Even I certified in AG 900 and 104 with good properly I did it. So tomorrow I am going in any organization, so I will be handle the like no live production environment or
yes,
not after this
so
course.
you can 100% do it, but what is you can only do it if you have a this lab. Okay.
Definitely lab.
Yeah. So with this lab, I'm telling you, anyone after this session can actually go and appear for a 4, 5, 6, 7 years, 6 years experience of Intune. I can assure you that one. And many from my previous batches also did it. So let's see, the main important is, see, we have only 20 hours for me to teach. Okay? So this is becoming the the scope of this Intune is becoming wider and wider and wider. Every day they are adding something. Okay,
Correct.
so I can guide you. I can show you the most important things here. The rest of the things, right? Outside of those 20 hours, I would expect you all to work every 1 hour or 2 hours a day. Not just this, go to any training anywhere in the world, anywhere. It is up to you having a lab, practicing, testing it. A person who only does that will be successful. All others, I can challenge you. They may get a job and do whatever the seniors have done it, but they'll not be able to fast forward their careers.
Definitely.
It's all up to you all to sit every 1 hour, and consistency is important. One tip is consistency. If everyone, say for example, if you start working on Intune or any other technology for 1 week continuously and stop it for 3-4 months, it's no point. It's a waste of time. Right?
Definitely.
Rather than every day, if you spend in a week 5 hours for another 3 or 4 months, you will be more powerful than anyone else, because not everyone will do it.
Correct.
Consistency is important. Yeah, that's all is the tip. Not a tip. I mean,
Even once
this
we know as a fresher time, we doesn't know after 6 years of experience, because that time we studied everything and we implemented few of the things in our so
yeah.
oh, thank
Raj,
you, good.
Yeah.
one more question, Raj. The one which you show us about the license, enterprise mobility and security, right? Which
Yeah.
you will so
Correct.
that is till 90 days, right? Which you have to do.
I think it is 90 days, and there's so many people who use that as, and that's why I think they reduced to 60 days. I don't recall. I don't remember. Yeah, it must be either 90 or 60 or 30, whatever it is. We can start from there, and once that is expired, I think we can go for M365 Developer Edition. The Developer Edition. See, once you know the product, right, you can play with it. You don't have to talk to anyone. You don't have to Ask anyone. It's a completely free product. All you need is a trial version of 1 year, 2 years, different email accounts, different phone numbers, different. You can do everything. Every day you can do free. You don't have to spend. I am for 6 years. I have not spent a single penny for any license. Okay, all you need is some virtual machine or a physical machine to test it.
Correct. Okay, got it. So we can at least do a practical thing in it. So I'm asking.
Yeah. So yeah, exactly. Practical is very important. Without practical, I would suggest don't attend this training and waste your money because you're already having YouTube videos. So many YouTube videos, so many people have already uploaded it. If you want a structure, if you really have a plan to do something, add Intune as into your resume. Attend this training, or else just if you don't have any plans, no motivation, then don't please join. It's waste of your time and money, especially in the weekend, right? So I don't suggest you all to join.
Okay.
Okay. So that's all. Okay. So it will be around 1.5 2 months. So with that, within 2 months, I think within 2 months, you'll all already feel confident. So yeah, that's all I have already extended, guys. Thanks for your time. You all have a wonderful day. Okay.
Raz, one more question. The timing will be same for this batch?
That we'll see what is convenient for everyone. Okay.
Okay.
So in this chat, someone were asking fee. Okay, that will be communicated by Amit. So the timings. Okay, we'll see. Just go through the chat. Okay. So we don't know what's the timing. Mainly, we'll confirm 99%. It is the same timing, 5 to 7, Saturday and Sunday.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay. So earlier, we'll see what works for everyone. So people say, can we manage Windows 365 through Intune? Yes, that's the only way to manage the cloud PC, Windows 365, and also the Azure Virtual Desktop. Both can be managed by Windows, Intune centrally. So that is where I'm saying the scope of Intune is getting expanding like anything because they have added, though there is a cloud PC AVD, both can be managed from Intune as a single device. Fee details, I think Amit will message you. It's someone says salary for Intune admin. See, again, it depends. Okay. So it depends. Okay. What's your previous experience and what is your overall experience?